dropped in the desert with a tray full of jams. My new orange boar pal is craving those snaps. With so much sand swirling, he crashed his candy car. Gosh, it seems like the hand of Jafar. Come on now, let's play some Lorcana. There's Flower Thumper, Bandy, lots of fauna. Let's build another blurple list as tasty as a Dole Whip twist, a smorgasbord of lore, it's S'morecana. Hello everyone, and welcome back to S'morecana. I'm Brett.
I'm Katie.
I'm so happy to be recording again. I missed last week. You snacked all alone, Katie. You had a midnight snack all to yourself, and I appreciate that.
Yes, it's been wild times in our lives for the past, 6 months.
I feel like we say that every single time we go to record, but it's just true. We just have so much going on, so sometimes it's really, really difficult with work and everything, and the house, and the baby coming to find time to record, and especially time to edit.
Call us naive, and maybe we'll eat these words later, but I truly think once we have this baby, it's going to get a lot easier for us.
It might. It honestly might.
It's just a lot going on. But anyways, yeah, I had a delicious s'more skillet all on my own last week.
Yeah, it was really fun to listen to that back and to edit it, and you did a great job, and I really appreciate you.
I appreciate you.
Well, there's a lot going on in the World Championships of Lorcana. Congrats to Din Kong Pham for the World Championship victory, the first ever Disney Lorcana World Champion.
Yeah, it was so fun to watch it. We watched it on Twitch. We had a draft at Diversions the next day, and it was on there too. We got to watch DKP soar towards victory. My big question, though, DKP, great player, super fun, right, to watch. He was wearing gloves the whole time. And I'm curious as to why. I'm genuinely curious. Is it
I found out the answer to this.
Did you really?
I did.
Oh, my God.
But what was your theory?
Well, I don't know if it's he doesn't like how the cards feel, or if it's he's, a germaphobe or something. Laura at Diversions had the theory that maybe he doesn't have hands.
Oh, yeah, could have been that, yep.
It's possible, Mickey Mouse wears gloves. We don't know that he has hands.
True. If you haven't seen the hands, do they really exist?
Exactly.
Uh-huh. Well, I know the real reason. Do you want to know?
Yes, drum roll, please.
Apparently, he has a skin condition, and he has to use a particular kind of lotion, and he doesn't want to get the lotion on his cards, or especially his opponent's cards.
Oh.
Yeah.
That's so kind. I feel kind of like a tool for wondering why he's wearing gloves.
At any rate, he played very well over the weekend and over the course of the year. And so, huge congrats to him for that huge victory. It was really, really fun to watch the sealed format in particular, I thought. I feel like we watch and have watched these great players play very similar decks over the last, 6+ months at the very least. And so, yeah, it's always fun to watch great players play these decks at the highest level. But it was especially fun for me to see them play cards that they had never played before, right? Watching Frank Karsten pick up a card and have to read it because he didn't know what it did. That's awesome. I love that. I loved seeing these players try to maximize their sealed pools.
Yeah, I feel like it's the difference between having your favorite musical artist sing their hits that they've practiced a million times, that they've refined, that they know are great, or covers of hits that they know are great, that everybody's going to love, and then being able to watch them in studio make a song. That's the difference. And then you're like, wow, that song was a hit. That sealed deck was really good. That worked. It's really cool to watch people make the decks.
Yeah, you see a card like Restoring the Crown get played by Zan for a huge victory, a come from behind victory. You've never seen that card played ever. I've tried to play that card in Limited in the past and didn't make it work. And then you get to see Zan get 8 lore off of it and suddenly win the game. It's awesome. That was so cool.
It's also a great way to think about sealed and limited differently and become better players by watching other people play limited and sealed.
Yeah. For instance, I saw a lot of players foregoing 1-drops. I saw Zan ink a 1-drop on 1 and ink a 2-drop on 2. Now, presumably, he was having inkable problems, right? I know that his hand was full of Dock and Restoring the Crown and whatever. And so he was mindful of that. But I think I have it pretty well ingrained that in Limited, you really, really, really want to play on curve because there aren't a lot of comeback mechanics. But I think him having the confidence to do that and still come back and win that game was really cool to see. So yeah, there was some skepticism around Sealed and like whether it should have a place in Worlds. I personally found it super entertaining and indicative of the players' skills. And so I hope that they do keep it and expand on it. And then by contrast, I think the constructed format, the 3-deck format, wasn't super relevant to most players because we don't play a 3-deck format a lot.
Wow.
Yeah, so like...
That's an interesting take on it. I liked it a lot.
I mean, it was fun. We saw different cards, we saw different decks, but we're not going to play these decks, you know? Like, we're not going to play any of these lists as they're constituted because they're specifically built for this format. They had a deck to always win going first, right? Like pretty much every player had an aggro deck because they knew they were going to have a game going first. And they said, well, if I play this aggro deck, nothing can stop me when I'm going first. Yeah. And I know I'll get my win with this deck going first.
Yeah, it is interesting. I mean, because like you say, that's not how Lorcana works in any other scenario. I enjoyed getting to watch players kind of leave their comfort zone, even if it was something like they're all playing aggro or they've kind of like worked the system. It was still exciting to see someone play Chernadog at Worlds, right? It was cool to get that switch up a little bit. But I agree, it would be nice to see that format maybe enter the world of Lorcana as we play it.
Yeah, it might. It's going to be hard for especially families, I think, because imagine if we each have to put together 3 decks, our card pool would be stretched for sure. It would be hard, especially with legendaries that we don't have 2 play sets of legendaries, so that could get a little bit dicey. But it was cool to see some of the lack of familiarity that the players had with some of the cards. Like,
yeah.
I mean, we even saw it in the finals. DKP is known for playing this red-blue list. He's forced in this instance to play Amethyst Steel, and he tries to fire the cannons a Rhino with no damage on it. Right? I mean, and that has to be at least in part to a lack of experience relatively on that particular color combination. I don't know if he was being facetious, but Ed, who also made the finals and played great all weekend, said that he had absolutely 0 reps on Amber Steel, on his Amber Steel list. He hadn't played it at all going into the World Championship. And I don't know if that's hyperbole, but still, right? He's a player who's known for playing Ruby Amethyst. He plays a ton of Ruby Amethyst, different iterations of it, of course, but, he's forced in this case to play Amber Steel and still managed to play really well. So it was really fascinating. How about you? How was your draft? Anything exciting happen at the draft?
Draft was so fun. We did a chaos draft. So we did it from the past 5 sets of Lorcana.
And you had Worlds playing in the background.
Yeah, we had Worlds playing in the background. It was awesome. We made a bunch of cookies. It was a good time. And draft was pretty good. And I pulled... Oh
my goodness. You did not.
Chanty Puller 2K25.
Chanty Puller 2K25 strikes again.
Yeah, I pulled a Hero Hamada.
That's the third
awesome.
enchanted that you've pulled inside of 2 weeks.
I know.
Insane.
I was born for this, baby.
You manifested it when you dubbed yourself the Chanty Puller 2K25.
Sure did. But
draft wasn't a super success otherwise for you, right?
It really wasn't. I got a lot of poopy cards in my hand. It was not a successful draft for me because I had no card draw.
Uh-huh.
Nothing drew me cards. I had some good bombs, but it wasn't enough bomb. And other people had bigger bombs. And it was a little bit sad. I was so confident. I had a shift into an evasive Pegasus with a baby evasive Pegasus. And I was like, man, I am on fire. And then I did not do well.
Do you have any takeaways? Anything you would do better in terms of picking cards when you're drafting?
There's the acronym BREAD we've talked about before, blah, 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 blah. But it's difficult when it comes down to it to make the right decision and not overthink. And I think that I overthought too much and I should have listened to my gut. And I didn't, because instead I was going, what do I have to do? What do I need to do? But I'm good at limited. And I just decided to not be, I guess, and not listen to my gut and what I was supposed to take. And instead I would be like, nope, I know my gut says to take that, but I'm going to take the other one because I think the other one is a better choice. And that was wrong. It was just wrong. I need card draw. I need to not avoid the uninkables. It was just, I don't know. It was just an off day.
Yeah, because how many uninkables did you end up with?
2.
Yeah, so I think that's a good indicator, right? Like, you don't want too many uninkables for sure, but uninkables are uninkable for a reason. They tend to be these really powerful cards, and when you don't end up with any of them, then you're handicapping yourself a bit.
Right, and in my own defense, I really didn't pass up that many uninkables, but I guess, hindsight's 2020. It's really hard to know. I don't remember every single card I saw and didn't pick, so it's like, I don't want to dwell on it too much, but
Totally.
It was fun. I still really had fun with draft. I love draft. I love a limited style. I love getting to make a deck. It's one of my favorite parts of the game.
I like that you come away with cards guaranteed. Like, we're looking at some tournaments near us that are like $50 entry fees, and having just bought a house and with a baby on the way, like a combined $100 entry fee for a tournament where you might come away with absolutely nothing at all in prizing can be a daunting ask. And so I like that with draft. You spend your $35 or whatever, and you get 5 packs out of it. And so at the bare minimum, you are getting something.
Definitely.
We never followed up on the case tournament we went to from a couple weeks ago.
Yes, the case tournament with Kendall Hale.
Yeah, Kendall Hale was there. He was signing for like 4 hours. He was only scheduled for 2, and he ended up just signing tons and tons of stuff. I mean, good for him. He wanted to make a little scratch for his vacation, and I think he made quite a bit.
Yeah, he was just fantastic the whole time that he was there. He was so kind. He took a lot of time with each person that came up to get something signed, talking about their favorite cards, talking about their favorite Disney movies, laughing about his little illustrations, and it was just, everyone was so giddy. We had so many people who weren't even playing in the case tournament who came by just for the signing.
We got a few cards signed. It was really fun. Our favorite has to be the Jim Deere, though, right?
Yes.
We asked him to illustrate a sword and put it in Jim Deere's hand. So he's like protecting all of the puppies, and he's got this sword, and it's like gleaming, and it looks so cool.
It's awesome.
Some original Kendall Hale art.
Yeah, it's so fun.
Really fun. How was your tournament experience?
It was all right. It wasn't too bad. I kind of went half and half with it. I ended on the bubble. I was playing Ruby Amethyst. It's tricky. I'm really trying to stick with this new Ruby Amethyst list, and I feel that it's a little bit out of reach currently. I feel that it's really difficult to play it well against all of the potential matchups that are currently in this meta. So, I don't know. I really wanted to stick with the same list for all the set champs that are coming up rapidly, but I'm not sure. I'm double clutching a little bit here. I had a lot of fun playing Ruby Amethyst. Ruby Amethyst always feels like you have a chance against any matchup. I never felt like, oh my god, I'm playing against blah, 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 I'm gonna die. But that being said, I don't know. I don't really know about Ruby Amethyst anymore.
You were trying a little bit of a burn variant, right? So you were playing a couple of thieveries, and you were playing a couple super goofs to try to grab some unexpected lore.
Yeah, and I appreciate it because it's certainly better than the big evasive list that I was running before with Ruby Amethyst. My list before that was like kind of halfway between standard Ruby Amethyst and burn Ruby Amethyst. So going all the way burn definitely feels better to play. It feels like it's a more consistent game on my end, even if I lose half the time. It's more consistent with what I'm going to get. I love Thievery. Big fan of Thievery. Helps you pop off Maui Shark real easily without having to pay 3 for a Friends, or having to have somebody sing Friends, or having to do Pirate's Life, having to have people sing Pirate's Life. It's an easy way to kind of chump out Maui Shark, but there's a lot of removal in the meta right now. So Maui Shark is not a lock-in. How did you do?
I had a great time. It was a little bit disappointing in the end. I started out 3-0. I was playing Blurple, as Jeremy Bertrioni requested.
Indeed.
And I loved the list. I had a great time with it. So I was 2-0 going to the third round. I got paired with Tiago from a few episodes ago.
Yep.
And I was on the play. Game 1, I had the absolute turbo nuts, as they say. It was like Popsicle, Bell, ramp on 2, Bell sings Friends again on turn 3. Like, it was just an absolute decimation. I told Tiago, I was like, if I could pick the cards that I got to put in my hand and on top of my deck, I would have done it exactly the way I did. And so that was a smash win. Game 2, I was on the draw, of course. and Tiago was playing Amethyst Steel. He got way up there in lore. He eventually got to a board state where he had 18 lore. I've got a pretty big board, but I'm on like 2 or 3 lore, right? And he has an unexerted crab and an unexerted dock on the board. And I top decked the single copy of Enchanted Donald Duck Flustered Sorcerer.
Incredible.
So
Incredible.
I had 3 outs, right? I had some card draw available to me, and I could have also won if I hit a Big Elsa. I had 2 of those in my deck. So I did have a few outs in that situation. But to draw exactly Donald Duck Flustered Sorcerer, who just sat on the board, never exerted, and there was literally nothing that Tiago could do in his entire deck, I think, to get rid of that Donald Duck. Like, it was really, really, really fun. A great comeback, and probably like the best performance of a Donald Duck Flustered Sorcerer in the history of Lorcana.
Yeah, the Lorcana gods smiled upon you on that day. People were talking about it in the whole room too before you even finished.
It was insane. It was such a bad beat for a good player like Tiago, you know, but it was fun.
Hey, sometimes that's Lorcana, baby. We've said that before.
In Top Cut, I was paired against Pete, friend of the pod, and he was playing Ruby Amethyst, conventional with Finders Keepers and stuff like that. And unfortunately, I had teched my Blurple to beat Steel. So I had Kita instead of Goat, and Goat is like the way you can beat Ruby. I also didn't have any McDuck Manners, which is kind of like how you beat Ruby. It's just that our meta had been so Steel heavy, and I faced Steel in the first 3 rounds. 5 of my possible 7 Top Cut opponents were playing Steel, and so that was a little bit of a bummer. I don't know what I really could have done, but I got 2-0'd on the play. It was really, really rough. Looking back at it, I inked a Radigan turn 1, and I think Radigan might have been able to help in terms of like he forces a Be Prepared out of the deck. But it was really, really rough. I was trying to kind of space out my threats and play around the shark, and I feel like I did that as well as I could. But he just completely outvalued me. Like, he had like 15 cards in his hand the entire game, and I couldn't go fast enough to combat that. So not great. I'm not sure, you know, how to really win that matchup given the way my deck was built, except that I'm definitely thinking that goats need to go back into the deck. I think I can hopefully beat Steel without Kita.
Goats are the goats, after all. I think that you did really well. I'm proud of how you played. I think you played well. If I've been pulling chanties like crazy, you've been making top cuts like crazy.
Yeah, knock on wood. I've had a really good run and a kind of consistent run of making cuts. You know, I think the one time I haven't made a cut recently was when I played like my Mulan theme deck.
But that was fun. That
was
didn't
just
matter.
like in the middle of a crazy weekend, whatever. But yeah, besides that, I've been on a decent run. I just like have to take one down. You know, I feel like I'm due to have a good run and get through a cut to the top soon.
You're close. It's going to happen. I can see it.
Yeah, I got to practice a little bit. I got to settle on a deck and practice.
Yeah. Hey, let's pop into the cafe here and get a little snack.
Yeah, that was a very, very long intro with lots of topics covered. I'm getting hungry.
Looks like everything's kind of cleaned up in here since they had their big Worlds party at this Morcana Cafe.
Yeah, looks like they cleaned out all the s'more skillets. I'm not seeing any of those lying around. It's too bad for me.
I know. I think they'll bring it back as a special. I'd be surprised if they didn't.
Hey, guys.
Oh.
How's it going?
Hey, Toby. We're doing good. How are you doing?
I'm so pumped. I have the best appetizer for you.
Oh, my God.
You have never, ever seen. It's like better than anything you've ever had before. If you can imagine your favorite appetizer, this one is bigger. It is better. It is more of a premium experience.
Whoa.
You're going to so totally dig it.
Oh, my
That
God.
sounds really good. What is it? You just wait. You have to wait. I'll go get it. And just like let the anticipation build because it is so sick.
Oh, my God.
Oh, my God.
What is this going to be?
I don't know, but I'm excited. I'm starving. So
Me too.
You know, it's been a while since I had a good appetizer, you know, not having been here last week. So I'm ready for a feast, you know?
Yeah, let's do it.
Yeah. Hope he comes back soon. Wonder where he is.
I don't know what's taking so long.
Taking forever.
Hello, Toby?
Do you really think they're going to bring back those s'more skillets?
I I hope so. I thought it was really good last week. I know it's a lot of cleanup, though, after you make a s'more skillet, because you got to clean all the skillets. You can't, like, put skillets in the dishwasher.
Right, and you need a lot of skillets. Like, you need skillets at scale.
Well, and they were, like, personal-sized skillets, so it wasn't, like, it wasn't crazy, but also I know that they've invested in all those personal-sized skillets now, so that must be coming back with something.
That's true, yeah.
Maybe that's what the appetizer is. Maybe it's, like a cheese dip or something in a skillet.
Yeah. I wonder what's taking so long. Like, what could be taking this long for an appetizer?
I mean, he said it was going to be really, really good. I think it's going to be worth the wait.
I can't wait. It better be. I'm starving.
I know. Me too. I'm getting hungry just thinking about it.
Getting kind of antsy, you know?
Do you think it's savory or sweet?
Probably savory.
Probably savory. Again, I'm picturing some kind of cheese thing, maybe? Nachos?
Yeah, maybe. Some kind of like fondue.
Oh.
It's kind of decadent, you know?
That is pretty decadent.
Yeah. Do you get hangry more now that you have the baby in your belly?
No, same amount of hangry.
Okay.
I got hangry before anyways.
Yeah.
But now I do have someone in me who's just like punching me to eat food, you know?
Mm-hmm. Where's Toby?
I don't really know.
This is insane.
Toby?
Should have brought some decks to play.
Oh, we should have. Yeah,
know?
but then we're going to have to talk to Toby for a long time about the decks.
Oh, yeah, whatever deck we pick, he'd be all over it. Yeah. Well, not the best service here at the cafe today, I guess. They've been better. They've been a little more prompt.
Yeah, I mean, I really think it's because, like he said, it's supposed to be this fantastic, amazing,
super special,
mind-blowing kind of snack. So
yeah, he said it was like better than anything we've ever experienced in the past. So
yeah. So, anyways, do you want to order an entree today too?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Even though I know we spent a lot of time on the intro, but I think we still have time for an entree. I'm hungry.
Oh, yeah. No, I mean, I'm even more hungry now.
Hey, guys!
Oh!
All right. It's underneath this cover here. I'm going to place it on the table, okay? And then I'm going to reveal it on the count of 3.
Okay.
It's gonna blow your minds. All right, here we go. Apparently, this has been around for a while. I've just never encountered it before.
Oh.
Okay. All right. Here we go. All right. 1, 2, 3.
Oh.
Look at that.
Yeah. That's cool.
They're called Ritz Bits.
Yeah.
Yeah, those are Ritz Bits.
Ritz Bits are good.
They are Ritz crackers, which, as you know, are bomb.
Yes.
And peanut butter, which, as you know, is bomb.
Yep.
And it's like a little sandwich, like a little peanut butter cracker sandwich.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is. That is a Ritz Bits.
Yep.
You guys seem you're not hyped for the Ritz Bits?
Well, it's just that Ritz Bits are fine. It's just
they're better than fine. This is amazing.
Yeah, it's just that there was a lot of buildup, and it took you a long time to go and just get some Ritz Bits.
Whatever, you know?
No, it's
you try to please. It's all right. Just enjoy, you know, or not, whatever. I don't even care. I'm just going to go.
Oh, no.
He's so mad.
Made him upset. It's not that we don't like Ritz Bits. It's just that, like, it seemed like it was going to be
He built it up
better.
A lot, and it took a long time.
Yeah.
And then it kind of was anticlimactic.
Yeah. Kind of like...
kind of reminds me of the DLC announcements. Well, folks, we finally, after a long wait, got announcements about the DLCs. The Disney Lorcana challenges are coming back. They were hyped up across the weekend. The whole first day, we heard there are going to be 16 DLCs, and we thought, well, okay, that makes sense a little bit more than last year because there are a couple new regions, and then we finally got all of the details on Sunday.
In the middle of Worlds coverage, which is really cool. I like how they revealed it. I like that they waited till day 2. It was fun to have the anticipation building up. And they show you a slide of where the DLCs are going to be. And then we were all watching in the store, and we kept waiting for, like, the next slide.
Yeah.
Because there were only 3 in North America, and we were like, cool. And then what else?
Yeah, there's a DLC in Milwaukee, Richmond, and Indianapolis, which all are relatively close to each other, it must be pointed out.
Yes.
There are no DLCs in Canada.
Nope.
There are none on the West Coast.
Nope.
There are none in the United Kingdom.
Yep.
So there are some silver linings, and maybe we'll get to this eventually. But let's just flat out talk about the bad news, the downsides of this, right? Because I think the reaction from the community has been largely negative and harshly negative, right? Like extremely negative.
Unnecessarily negative.
Perhaps. Our meta's reaction certainly was negative. I didn't hear a lot of people like super excited for this announcement after all of the build-up. So let's talk about this. First of all, we waited forever for this. There was a huge gap in time. At this point last year, we had already had multiple DLCs.
Yeah, it's off-putting that they waited so long to announce them and then to have them be so few and so weirdly selected. In cities that, like, aren't major hubs, really.
Yeah. I mean, Indianapolis is a big convention city. That's where Gen Con is, and I think it has the infrastructure to support, a large event. So that one kind of makes sense, I guess. But I think the biggest thing is that expectations were so high after so long. We had heard through announcements about announcements, which Hoffensburger is very good at, that they were working on it. And that's why we hadn't heard, right? They were trying to make them bigger and better. It was going to be more of a premium experience, right? We expected there to be a higher cap of players. We expected there to be more of a robust circuit. We expected maybe different tiers of events, just better organization across the board, right? Because DLCs got better and better over the course of last year. And so we expected this season to be at least that kind of level of support. And to see it not receive that in North America in particular was super discouraging.
It's odd. It's hard to really know right now with the limited amount of information that we have, but it's difficult. And it also adds a little bit of stress that, like, we want to go to at least one DLC, the two of us. So it's kind of increases the stakes of, like, getting tickets for them because there's going to be more people online getting tickets. Like you said, the player cap isn't that much larger that it'll make a big difference.
Right. We don't know what the player cap is yet. Now, it seems like because there are more Swiss rounds, it seems like the cap is going to be around 4,000 perhaps. So that's a good thing, right? I mean, like if there are 3 DLCs with caps of 4,000 people, then that's actually more available competitor tickets than were available last year. So that's, potentially a silver lining. So not looking ahead too much here, but hopefully that's the cap. If it is 4,000, that would make it a lot more palatable. Something happened here. I think that's what we can glean from this. Something happened in the organization of these DLCs in North America in particular. Last year, they had hired Pro Play Games, PPG, to run all of these events. They were not asked back, or they were unable to reach an agreement to run the tournaments this year. It's a different company who's going to be running these events. I don't know if Hoffensburger didn't have the money allocated to rent the same level of convention center, because the convention spaces, particularly in Toronto and in Seattle, those spaces were great. Downtown Toronto, beautiful hotel, really nice. Seattle Convention Center, right in the heart of the city. Go walk down the hill to Pike Place Market. Those were great. Fort Worth, not so much, but at least it was a big space that presumably was really expensive to rent. I wonder if, Richmond and Milwaukee were a lot cheaper, if that's a part of it. I don't know if there was some hesitation about how much they wanted to support competitive play from the higher ups at, maybe Disney or Ravensburger. So I'm not sure, but something happened here. There's something that prohibited them from moving forward with, I think, what they wanted to do, probably.
Yeah, I agree. And this might transition us a little bit into the good here, but I wonder if some of what went wrong, perhaps, is that these DLCs are going to be better experiences. I'm holding out hope that maybe that means that Disney had more of a hand in it, or Ravensburger had more of a hand in it. And those things that we've been talking about having more merch available, having more Disney-related snacks available at these events, having more Disney characters at the events, making it feel more like a premium experience like they're talking about. Maybe they've got more support for non-competitive play at the DLCs, or if you get bounced out or whatever, right? Maybe that's part of it. maybe when we go to the DLC, it'll be like, wow, this is so much better. I can see how they could only do 3 in North America because it's so big. That's the dream. I mean, I've never been to Milwaukee, Richmond, or Indianapolis, so I don't know these spaces that it could potentially be in. I can't really imagine the convention spaces it would be in, but maybe it's because it's gonna be better. Maybe we can still hold out hope that they weren't totally lying.
Right, yeah. Like 3 amazing 4,000 player cap DLCs that are truly premium experiences. Yeah, that would help make it a little bit more palatable. And I know that it's going to be still difficult for a lot of the country to get to a single DLC. Like, if you are on the West Coast, it does mean that you probably have to fly to every DLC, where before you could probably drive to at least one of them. So we'll see. Another silver lining, 3-game format.
Yeah.
There is going to be 3-game format at the DLCs. I think most players are super, super excited about that.
I think it's going to make it more appealing for people to want to attend, which is not great news for getting tickets. But I think it's a better way to play. You're going to split less. It's going to feel like a better day at the end of it.
You're going to feel like you had a little more agency in it, probably.
And that's how Lorcana's played. Everywhere is a 3-game format, so why not?
I can think of a few rounds that I had at the DLC where I really, really, really wished that it was a 3-game format. I'm thinking of the round where I helped the new player to beat me. That was an example of a round where if it was 3-game, I would have said okay, in the 3rd game here, I'm going to have to try to win the game. And so I don't know. I think it would definitely feel a lot better. My Fort Worth experience where I split the first 6 rounds. And that was really, really frustrating, and I would have loved to have a 3rd game in many of those series. When you just run into a bunch of aggro decks, for instance, in the first couple rounds, and you keep splitting, those are examples of matches where in the 3rd game, when you know how to properly mulligan, it's a lot easier to win. So yeah, I think a 3-game format's going to feel a lot more fulfilling.
Definitely.
Another silver lining. Another good thing to come out of the announcements, the prize support looks incredible.
Right?
The Simba mat and art and the Mulan mat and art are incredible. But boy, oh boy, the top 32/16 Elsa art. Oh my goodness.
Yeah, that's right up your alley.
I will win that mat. I must win that mat. It must happen.
Yes.
Holy cow.
You will win that, Matt. Why not?
I'm going to do it. I'm going to manifest it. Just like your Channy Puller 2K25. Elsa Matt.
Look, manifesting.
2K25.
Manifesting works, Elsa Matt 2K25. We're going to try to go to as many of these DLCs as we possibly can.
I'm going to strap our daughter to my chest if I have to, and I will win an Elsa Matt.
Yes. Yes, you will. You will indeed.
We'll see what's going to happen. I think there's another shoe to drop. I think that Hoffenspecker has definitely heard some of the feedback about these announcements. And so I think we're going to hear more. I think we're going to hear more explanations or, promises that the program will get a little bit more robust going forward. Another silver lining real quick. It is really cool that a bunch of other regions are getting DLCs. Like Brazil is getting 2 DLCs. That's awesome. And I think there's been some talk about if you think that this news was bad, then you're selfish because of that we in North America got fewer, but places elsewhere got DLCs. And I don't know why they have to be mutually exclusive.
Yeah, I don't think that it's necessarily selfish. I agree. It's great that it's getting spread around the globe because they do call it Worlds. It's not the North American Championship,
right.
It's Worlds. It makes a lot of sense, and it's great to have more people playing the game. That's never a bad thing. But I think the reason that, particularly in North America, we feel a little bit jilted from it is because we had more last year.
Right.
We went from having more to having less. It's like we took a pay cut. Okay.
Right.
Well, why do you think you deserve more?
Told it was going to be better.
Yeah, right.
And it got worse.
Right. It's like someone being like, hey, you're doing great at your job. We're going to give you a better contract. Don't worry. And then your contract is half of what you had last year. Even if you have different benefits, it's half of what you had.
And you'd be like, well, your coworkers got paid more. So
And that makes it better for everybody. And you're like, oh,
well, yeah, okay. I'm happy for them. It doesn't mean I'm not happy for them, but
right.
I was promised something different.
Yep.
We'll see. We'll see how it goes, but definitely an anticlimax. Not what we were hoping for, per se, from these Worlds announcements.
I don't like these Ritz bits.
Mm-hmm. Bonsoir, Madame and Monsieur. I'm very sorry that you did not perhaps enjoy the appetizer. I did not know that Toby was going to be bringing you the Ritz Bits crackers. He has been, obsessed with the Ritz Bits. And so he brings this without my knowledge.
That's okay. It's really not a big problem. We know that Toby sometimes does the unexpected.
Yeah, he kind of just goes off on a limb, doesn't he? He is a very impetuous young man, and again, I am very sorry, but I have brought perhaps a better experience for you. These are Typal Tapas.
Ooh.
Yes, these are tapas. You have two kinds of tapas tonight. We have a play on a surf and turf tapas, and play on fast food tapas, as you say in America. With burgers and fries and such.
Oh, awesome. Thank you.
Bon appetit.
Yeah,
Ooh,
look at this.
these. Yeah, we got some surf and turf tapas and some fast food-y tapas. Interesting.
Ooh.
Oh, this is a great way to kick off our new Typal Tapas tasting dish series.
Do you want to tap us? You want to taste it? You want a Typal deck? Do you want to tap us? You want to taste it? You want a Typal deck? Boop.
Nice impromptu theme song there, Katie.
I actually worked on that for a long time.
We're going to go over some of the Typal decks that have been getting support in the past two sets. There are a whole bunch of these decks. We're talking about things like Puppies and Racers and Anna and Elsa synergy and Lady and the Tramp synergy and all of the Madrigals. These are archetypes that have been heavily supported in these two sets. It's too much to go over all of them at once, and so we're going to break them up into a little series and talk about a couple during each iteration of the Typal Tapas.
Yeah, so it's what people often call a theme deck. I think colloquially a lot of people say it's a theme deck. I had not heard the term Typal deck.
It's also called a tribal deck. Tribal synergies as gets used. It's anytime like you have a characteristic that appears across cards and they all kind of buff each other. We saw a little bit of this with like Flotsam and Jetsam. That was kind of like tribal synergy or Typal synergy. Princesses, whenever we saw like a princess deck, that would be a tribal deck or a Typal deck. We've seen a lot more of that lately.
Yeah, so today we're highlighting probably objectively our two favorite Typal decks right now to play.
Among them, anyways. I'm a big fan of the Madrigals, but
that's true.
We
right.
have the Surf and Turf Pirates, and we have the Fast Food Racers.
Yeah, so let's talk about these Surf and Turf Pirates. What's going on here?
Well, Pirates we talked about a few months ago. Last set, Pirates received the Mr. Smee captain card, where if you played an action, you could ready a pirate, and they could quest again, which was really special. And we had a whole episode all about Pirates, and that was really fun. This set, that deck got so much support, and so we wanted to kind of revisit it. It's a deck that I never took apart. It's a deck that I kind of consistently have been working on and always like playing, and it got a whole bunch of new cards.
Yes, it's a Smee Donaldo. Got all kinds of new cards, one of which is the Floodborn Captain Hook.
Yeah, Captain Hook surprised me. Like, I was like, oh, that fits. I'll try him out. I'm already playing the one-drop Captain Hook for sure. He's the best one-drop pirate. This buffs all of your pirates. He's Emerald, Steel, Dual Link. Of course, I'm going to give it a shot. I started with 2 copies of Captain Hook, and he's at 4 now, and I think that's where he'll stay. He is super solid. He enables such one-sided board clears, and the threat of him shifting onto a Captain Hook is amazing.
Yeah, he's great. He benefits from all the damage that this deck can dish out. He's kind of an unstoppable card. I don't really see him going away in a pirate deck anytime soon.
Yeah, just a big body, 5 cost, 4/5, quest for 2. Great. And then if you manage to damage an opponent's character, all of your pirates get buffed up with resist and strength.
Scary.
Yeah.
Scary pirates.
Yeah, really, really good. The card that has made the biggest impact, though, is probably Desperate Plan.
Yeah, that's a brand new flashy moment. What does Desperate Plan do?
So 3-cost uninkable action that isn't a song, which is of course important for all kinds of synergies. It says if you have no cards in your hand, you can draw until you have 3. Otherwise, you can choose and discard any number of cards and then draw that many cards. So it lets you kind of filter your hand. But really, you want to be emptying your hand and then playing Desperate Plan. This is a deck that struggled with card draw a bit, and I was playing Scar to kind of draw a bunch of cards, but as well as Scar synergized with the deck, it could be sometimes difficult to get value out of him, especially without Hiram. I found that Hiram was the way that you could get value because you could challenge him 2 or 3 times after pinging him, and then Scar would draw you a bunch of cards and he would kind of counter the Hiram. Now that Hiram's not around, I was looking for a different way to draw cards, and Desperate Plan absolutely fits the bill. It kind of took the place of Doc, but Desperate Plan triggers all of your wonderful pirate characters like Mr. Smee.
I, again, think that this deck is really strong, and it makes me so sad that sometimes Typal decks like this don't get played in big tournaments.
Yeah,
How cool would that be?
It would be cool, and I think post-rotation, this is a deck that could absolutely come along, but it's just like kind of one tier too low to really play competitively, I think. That's not to say that it's not explosive and can't win games, because it's super, super fun and super good to play. Quick Shot has been great. It pings a character and draws you a card. To go along with this Desperate Plan synergy, I've included some filtering. So I'm using the 1-drop Mulan to help filter out that multiple copies of Desperate Plan if you do get stuck with multiples. Also a Namari can help with that, and a Hypnotic Deduction. Hypnotic Deduction can put other copies of Desperate Plan onto the top of your deck, and also will trigger your other abilities like your Smee and your 1-drop Pete. And your new Don Carnage.
Ugh, love Don Carnage.
Another card from this set that really patched a hole in the deck. It could struggle with evasives, like Genie would just ruin the Pirates last set. It was really hard to clear the Genie. It was hard to do 4 damage, you didn't have a lot of evasive answers. If your opponent dropped Genie 3 turns in a row, you were just absolutely cooked. Don Carnage helps so much. He's evasive himself, and then he uses all of your actions to dish out Reckless. So his ability to control some of your opponent's evasive options has been a huge boon to the deck.
He's been pretty massive and limited as well. It's just an all-around pretty good card.
Yeah, a good card. Nice to see the Dawn. So we're going to post this list. Actually, it's the same Dreamborn link from when we did our pirate episode. So if you want to hear more about the pirates, you can go back and listen to that episode. But we'll make sure that this is linked in the show notes and you can take a look at our current pirate build. I do want to highlight Wake Up Alice, which is a card that I'm trying out right now. It's a 1-drop action. Sometimes the deck can struggle with big characters, like your opponent getting a ton of value off of a Maui Shark, for instance. And so having a turn of being able to turn off that effect and slow your opponent down just a little bit can be what you need to combo out with your Mr. Smee.
It's also pretty great to be able to protect your own characters with Wake Up Alice. You don't have to banish your opponent's characters. If you needed to protect a Smee for some reason and bounce him back and refresh him, you could do that.
Yeah, totally. You can bounce Pete if you want to replay your 3-drop Pete. That can be really fun. Some flexible options with Wake Up Alice, and an inkable 1-drop action is welcome in this list for sure. All right, that covers the pirates. You know, it's very similar to last set where you're trying to combo out with Smee and Donald, but with those new cards, we wanted to mention that the deck got a lot stronger even than it had been in the past. Oh. All right, onto the fast food tapas here.
Ooh.
This is a deck we're calling Not a Glitch.
Yeah, we're calling Not a Glitch like Vanellope. Or Vanellope von Schweetz.
Amber Ruby Racers. We had tried this a little bit last set using the Sugar Rush Speedway and some location synergy. This is a new build. We're trying something a little bit different here, and it has been surprisingly good, surprisingly strong.
Yeah, there's so much more racer support with this set. We've just gotten enough to boost it all up a bit. Wreck-It Ralph is insane in this deck.
Yeah, both Wreck-It Ralphs are really strong.
Yeah.
The 3-drop Wreck-It Ralph that buffs a racer with +4 strength for the turn, pretty solid.
The 7-cost uninkable Shift Ralph, who lets you get a racer with cost 6 or less out of your discard, is incredible.
And that's whenever you play him and whenever he quests, and he gets you lore when you do it.
Yeah.
So really, really good with the racers. Some great synergies.
We talked about this last week too, but this is similar to what I've been trying to play in League, and I just last week got my 4th big Wreck-It Ralph for my League deck.
Perfect.
So I feel a little bit unstoppable in that way for sure.
So let's talk about some of the new cards that we're including here.
Yeah, we've got Gloyd Orange Boar.
Gloyd might be the key to the deck. He might be the oil in the engine, so to speak.
Yeah, he's a little lore thief. He rolls in there with his little pumpkin orange car? Is he a pumpkin or is he orange?
I think he's orange because he's named Gloyd Orange Boar.
Yeah, but what does Gloyd mean? How do we know that Gloyd doesn't mean pumpkin?
Has Gloyd ever meant pumpkin to you before?
I don't know. I don't know what it means in the world of Sugar Rush. Maybe it means pumpkin.
True. Okay. Yeah. So his name is Orange Boar, but he's all about the pumpkins. Yep.
Yeah. He's just a great way to kind of cheat that back and get a good racer on your side. And the fact that he's a 1/2 means he's probably going to end up in your discard, which means you can bust him back out again.
Right. He's the ideal card to recur in a lot of late game scenarios, right? Where you can use Candy Drift on him and take something out, and then he's in your discard, and then you recur him with Ralph, and you play him again, and now all of a sudden you have like a 3 or 4 lore swing on the board. So he can be really, really cool to help you close the game and trickle towards 20 while also suppressing your opponent's lore total.
Yeah, it's beautifully thematic here. You've got a lot of racers that can zoom in and zoom out as fast as they zoomed in to the game.
Yeah, we're including the 4-drop King Candy, of course, the uninkable, because that card can really help you control the board. But he can also be played around. Sometimes you get to a point where your opponent isn't going to give you any favorable King Candy triggers, yeah? So you need some ways to sort of surprise your opponent, some combat tricks. So we've included a couple. Namely, we have Turbo, the 2-drop Rush Racer.
Yeah, he rocks.
So he can charge in while you have a King Candy on the board and blow himself up and then make your opponent make a difficult choice. We also have a couple copies of the 5-drop Ruby Radigan.
Which is so crazy because everything in this deck feels like really thematic, or it feels like a big hero's coming in to save the day and punch. We got big Ralph and Maui and then you've got Radigan.
Yeah, thematically not a great fit, but he synergizes really, really well. So to refresh your memory, because you probably haven't seen this card played in a while, 5-drop uninkable 3/3 quest for 2. Not amazing, but he has this ability that when you play this character, you can exert chosen opposing character with 3 strength or less. Then you can choose one of your characters and ready them, and they can't quest for the rest of the turn. So why is this important? Sometimes when you have a King Candy on the board or a 6-drop Mulan on the board, which is another card that we've included here at 2 copies, your opponent won't exert their characters. So Radigan becomes this way to all of a sudden turn on all of these synergies. You can now crash Mulan in, or you can crash a Racer in and trigger your King Candy. He can help in a board state where things are kind of locked up.
Yeah, he's puppeteering these little racer cars from his rat's nest in the sky above the racetrack. Candy Drift is also a new card, a dual ink card that's been slammed into this deck.
Draws you a card when you play it. It's a 2-cost action, and it gives a racer +5 strength, but then you have to banish that racer at the end of the turn. Now you're like, why would I want to do that? Well, sometimes you need to get your Gloyd into your discard so that you can recur them with your Ralph or whatever. So it can help again in those board states where your opponent is playing around all of your effects. We also have more recursion with King Candy, and then Fix-It Felix, the 5-drop, who can ready your racers. You know, lets your King Candy quest for 2, and then you can ready him when you recur something.
Helps with that protection, as Fix-It Felix always does. This deck, like you said, really benefits from having stuff discarded, so it sort of benefits from an aggressive play style, if that's something that you are comfortable with or that you are interested in. It is helpful if you like turning your characters to the side and slamming them into stuff and going for lore and bouncing them back and forth. I think it's an amethyst-leaning kind of Amber Ruby list.
Yeah, it plays on curve, right? Like we made this with a really, really smooth curve. It plays very smoothly and allows you to recur cards and keep your hand full so that you can constantly be playing threats to the board. So it's, I think, a pretty straightforward list, but it also has some of those nice control tools and can make your opponent have to answer some awkward situations with the Mulans, with the King Candies, and with those surprise Radigans.
A really fun list. A list that I'm certainly tempted to bring to a set champ, but I will not, because like we said about pirates, it's just not quite up to where the meta is right now. It doesn't have great matchups into everything. It's a little bit unpredictable, but I have hope, like with pirates, that maybe after rotation, it'll get even stronger. I think we're continuing to see more racer support, and it's exciting.
One of the big problems with the deck for sure is that if you have a heavily steel meta near you, those fast, small steel decks run all over this, particularly because it can be hard to draw cards. You rely on Rapunzel quite a bit, and so if you can't trigger a Rapunzel on a Mulan or a Mother Gothel and kind of keep your hand going in the early-ish game and never get to your recursion loops, then you can really, really struggle. If your opponent's playing like Tulor, Smees, and Lawrences and Piglets and stuff, and then also blowing up your characters with their songs, then you can be in for a bad time for sure.
Yeah, the removal from steel makes it hard to have something like King Candy stick. And that makes it difficult to pop off a Wreck-It Ralph. And that makes it difficult to, it just keeps on getting harder and harder and harder.
It's possible that a card like Bare Necessities would be worth trying in this list.
Well, that's a good idea.
Just to give yourself a little bit of protection in those early turns. But I'm not sure that that's necessarily the way to go. Sometimes that card can be really swingy and dead in some games. So something to consider if you are set on playing a deck like this in a heavily steel meta, that Bare Necessities might be a card that will help. We'll post this for sure. This will be in the show notes. So if you want to get a look at a racer deck, this is a nice, smooth racer deck. It doesn't rely on super combo potential with the locations and things like that. It's just a mid-range, play dudes, turn them sideways, recur them from your discard pile sort of list.
A Typal Tapas tasting dish.
I look forward to indulging in some tapas again in the future. We have so many to choose from.
Yum.
Time for a big ol' handful of mints, Katie.
Oh, we've had some weird food today. I think it's definitely a good idea to have a big handful of mints. This mint dream card, I will say, is inspired by a movie that we watched the other day that we napped during. So we must have dreamed of these dream cards while we were watching the movie.
Uh-huh.
Right?
Yeah.
It's all coming together now.
Yeah, so we found ourselves watching The Jungle Book, and I made a connection that I had never made before. I didn't realize that the band of vultures are all avatars for the Beatles.
Yeah, that's the bit.
I just never made that connection because I don't think I had watched the movie while being a Beatles fan.
So being aware of what the Beatles are.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, it's great. It's really good.
So there are these 4 vultures towards the end of The Jungle Book mostly, and their names apparently are Buzzy, Flaps, Ziggy, and Dizzy.
Yeah, and they have Liverpoolian accents when you listen to it, and they sing together like they're in a little band, and a couple of them have hair, which indicates that they're the Beatles. That's the joke. I'm just chuffed that you just realized this because it's such a wonderful little Easter egg to realize.
Yeah, when we were looking stuff up for these dream cards, it says that they sing this barbershop quartet number. And initially, they were going to sing a 60s rock style number, but Walt Disney thought it would be too dated.
Too on the nose. These Beatles aren't going to last forever. No one's going to get it.
Yeah, but here we are. So we have 4 dream cards today.
Yeah, let's walk through them.
4 dream cards. All right, so there are 4 vulture cards. 2 of them are emerald, 2 of them are amethyst. They cost 2, 3, 4, and 5, respectively. Let's start with the 2-drop, and we'll work on our way on up. How's that sound?
Love it.
All right, so we've got first up Buzzy Star Vulture. He is a 2-cost emerald character with 2 strength, 2 willpower, quests for 1. He is a Storyborn ally and a vulture. All of these are Storyborn ally vultures.
Yes.
We invented the vulture characteristic for the purpose of these cards because we're talking about Typal decks.
Exactly.
All right, so he has the ability Band Together. They all have an ability called Band Together, but they do slightly different things. Buzzy says, while you have 4 or more vulture characters in play, your vulture characters gain ward.
It's amazing.
And the flavor text, it took a beat, but he eventually drummed up support for Mowgli.
Hey, bump, because he's Ringo.
And he's drumming.
That's funny.
Yeah.
The next vulture that we have is Dizzy. Dizzy is a 3-cost amethyst card. Dizzy Hairy Vulture. He has 2 strength and 3 willpower. He's also a Storyborn ally vulture. He has the ability Band Together, and he quests for 2. His ability says, while you have 4 or more vulture characters in play, your vulture characters gain, whenever this character quests, you may draw a card. He's an uncommon card with the flavor text, as Baloo collapsed, Dizzy was found gently weeping.
Representing, of course, George Harrison, who wrote While My Guitar Gently Weeps.
Yes. Obviously.
All right, moving on up here, we have Ziggy, Imaginative Vulture. 4 cost, 3/3, quest for 1. His ability is, while you have 4 or more vulture characters in play, opponents' characters gain Reckless. With the flavor text, imagine peace in the jungle. It's easy with no Shere Khan.
Aw, that's nice.
Can you tell which one he represents?
No idea. He's John Lennon.
Yeah, the John Lennon vulture. All right, and finally, we turn to Flaps.
Yes, Flaps is a 5-cost inkable card. Flaps, Dreamy Vulture. He's got 3 strength and 4 willpower. He's a Storyborn ally vulture. Quest for 1. Has the ability Band Together. His ability says, while you have 4 or more vulture characters in play, your vulture characters gain Evasive. He has the flavor text, that's what friends are for. That's the song they sing in the Jungle Book. Super fun. I love these cards.
Yeah, they've all banded together, much like the Beatles. They have that text where if they have 4 vultures, they all buff each other. You got to get the whole band together. You could, have 4 Buzzies and 4 Dizzies and 4 Flaps or whatever. But, it'd be really fun to have a ward evasive character that draws cards when it quests and gives your opponents Reckless.
Right. These characters don't need to be dual ink because, like you said, you could just play a Dizzy Flaps deck and not have Buzzy and Ziggy in it, or vice versa. Super fun synergy, super fun for a Typal deck. And we love these vultures. You're big fans now that you know that they're based on the Beatles.
Yeah, I hadn't given them much thought ever, but now they stand out to me. Now they have some personality. Cool to see vultures being like good guys too, which is neat.
Yeah.
Vultures I feel like are always like evil, like swarming over corpses and stuff.
Yeah, they're just kind of dumb. And they want to mess with Mowgli. I mean, they're not like, when they see Mowgli, they're like, oh, let's mess with his head a little bit.
Yeah, but then they save him.
They do.
So,
yep.
They come around. Like we said with Buzzy, it took a beat, but they eventually drum up support. Well, that was a big old handful of mints.
Ooh, tasty, tasty.
Katie, what's next on the menu?
Oh my goodness. So, as we've said before, set champs are coming up, baby. So we're going to do a little preview into what set champs are going to look like, what we're going to be playing, what we think we're going to see in the meta, etc., etc.
We'll also continue on with our Typal series, put together a couple of decks for maybe some madrigals, for example.
Yes, so before you listen to our next episode, make sure you don't eat, because we're going to be having a lot of Typal Tapas.
While you're waiting for that to drop, be sure to follow us on social media. Please do leave us reviews on Spotify and or Apple Podcasts. You can leave us a tip in the Tip Top Jar at tiptopjar.com/smorkana and email us at smorkana@gmail.com.
Until next time, everybody.
Keep on snacking.